This horrific racially based shooting, as police believe, in Jacksonville, Florida, over the weekend. You wonder how, in America in 2023, and with a president who said this, that things like that could still happen. Listen to what Biden said.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. With unity, we can do great things. Without unity, there is no peace. And to unite the country.
You know, he pledged to unite the country back in his inauguration speech several times prior and after that. And yet horrific things like what happened over the weekend still happen. Where is this country at this moment?
Well, John, first of all, you know, we're marking the 60th anniversary of Dr. King I Had a Dream speech. And I want to tell you right now, this country has made tremendous progress in the last 60 years. We have people of all color in every segment of American life. We didn't have that 60 years ago. And what has happened now, the Democrats have basically tried to attach themselves to King's legacy without the principles. King wouldn't accept critical race theory, 1619 Project, all this division of hatred.
That's Leo Terrell. He's a contributor on Fox News. And obviously his job is to find very uncomfortable stories, especially about hate crimes towards black folks, and make all the people watching feel a lot more comfortable about how much they really don't give a damn about how these things happen and maybe how they're plotting the next one. That's Leo Terrell's job. So of course, when he was asked literally how things like this still happen with the suggestion that President Biden saying something about unity would change all that, which it absolutely wouldn't. But still, with that being the question, he then answered talking about Martin Luther King, the anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech, because that's the only damn speech they even know about from Martin Luther King, and still misunderstand it. But on top of that, 1619 Project, CRT, black people are in positions that they weren't in before, a whole bunch of fluff and nonsense. So maybe as they continued on, maybe Leo Terrell actually said something that makes some sense. Let's see what else he had to say.
I'm not sitting here telling you that racism doesn't still exist in this country. We're not a perfect union. But John Roberts, I'm telling you, systemic racism does not exist in any segment of this country. By the way, we had a black president. We have black congressmen. We have people of color in every aspect of this country. We have people of color running major metropolitan cities. So the Democrats will not let go of the systemic racism card, because if they do, they will not have a party. And that's why you see a lot of black Americans and Hispanics leaving the Democratic Party, saying, we don't believe you anymore. And they're moving to the Republicans, such as myself, to join the Trump team.
Yeah, but as you point out, in the case of Jacksonville at least, and Buffalo before that, Charleston before that, racism unfortunately still does exist in this country.
More of the standard deflections. I could do this guy's job really easy. So let's deflect and then talk about how, minorities are all over the place. And look, we had a black president. We have black folks running some cities. We have representatives and senators, black folks. So everything is completely okay, considering the fact that he then also still point out racism still exists in the country. So if you're willing to admit that racism still exists in the country, but somehow the Democratic Party is the one who uses it as a crutch, only why are you even talking about it? Does it exist or does it not exist? Or are they using it as a crutch? It doesn't matter. Just let the people that are watching feel a lot more comfortable about the fact that they really don't care that this happened. Matter of fact, that they continue to push for more of it. Now, again, let's ignore the terrorist that went and killed black folks, that was searching for more black folks to kill before he went and killed black folks in this particular Dollar General store.
And I think that's where I come in at right there. We are giving, he reported news on racial violence that happened to black people, and his thought process was to defend how great our society is. Think about that. We're in the face of Black Death, a crime that was literally, provoked by anti-blackness. You felt that your knee-jerk reaction was to talk about how far our society has become and how Democrats are doing X, Y, Z. To me, I feel like that is something that facilitates not only like will for ignorance, but I think it facilitates like anti-black violence. You see what I'm saying? Like, bro, this really got up there and got lost in the sauce in bipartisanship politics, really ignoring that, hey, both left and right, both red and blue, got a certain, insatiable appetite for anti-black violence. And when you try to sit there and I think really play that game, I think that it really convolutes how, you feel me, like what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, he figured out a way to repeat every speaking point about CRT and critical race theory and talking about black people being murdered. That's crazy.
And it's as if those things somehow connect. And as you saw again, also it comes back to politics. Black folks and brown folks are running away from the Democratic Party based off of absolutely nothing. But by the way, if they are, maybe tell us why. Is it because black folks got murdered by a white supremacist who had a bunch of manifestos about how much he wanted to murder black folks? That's why black folks are leaving the Republican Party. Does it have to make any sense for them to say it? Maybe not. But lastly, since we're talking about the politics part about this, they suggested that Biden's message of unity just isn't working. You can say that because I agree, but what is it that would work? Just talking about unity absolutely doesn't work. Every president likes to say so, then they blame the Democratic ones for this lack of unity. But their idea of unity, that unless you agree with everything we say, conform to our belief systems, make sure that you suppress people's rights, we're not gonna do anything except for promote violence, threaten you, and maybe even kill you in these moments like this. So maybe let's talk about other politicians that were in office and where our hate crimes were.
Hold on, before you go there, let's point out though what's actually being taught and pointed at for us to target. Right now, we acknowledge there's a narrative about these young, impressionable teenagers and kids being turned out by gay, trans, drag queens and story hour. You see what I'm saying? That's what we worried about, individuals getting batteries put in their back and then being indoctrinated and doing X, Y, and Z. When they on Fox News, they ain't talking about the climate that's being set up for different individuals to be literally talking about invigorated with like white supremacist ideology. This man left how many? He left how many manifestos that are correlative to a lot of the people that give big dollars to the Republicans? So to put it like this. If one of them gangster rap trappers, you feel me? One of them gangster trappers decided to invest some money into anybody, invested some money into BLM, and BLM that directly went and did something to somebody, they'll be found culpable in some way, shape, or fashion. And last thing I'll say, Tupac had this documentary that came out when I was like 12 or something like that. You feel me? And something that came out in the documentary was when he was incarcerated, he was being charged for the death of a law enforcement because they accused him of making a particular song that created a climate that made it rational for you to commit violence against law enforcement. That was an argument that was made in the 1990s. We know Pac was killed in like 96, so you know that had to be done before that, right? When you think about in 2023, how this idea of anybody can say what they want to do, whenever you say what you do can be only on you and not on me, it seems like it's a distinction when it comes to like gay stuff, black stuff, trans stuff. Just had to throw that out there, like
absolutely. I mean, you think about the shooter out in Tennessee, which we'll talk more about that later, and how that was a trans person who went into that school shooting, and suddenly there's this trans terrorism coming from the right wing to talk about it that realm. Everything that happens, they like to explode it up to something, but when it actually is happening in front of them, how much do they actually minimize it? It's a constant thing. So let's talk about some of the reality of what happens when presidents are in office. Because by the way, I'm not sure if a president can get in front of a podium at his inauguration, as they pointed out in some of those clips, and say, we want unity, and suddenly all the racists, all the bigots, all the hateful people that can't wait and they have itchy trigger fingers want to shoot folks, those people suddenly go, well, President Biden said we're gonna have unity, so let's be quiet. It doesn't make any sense. They don't want anything else to happen.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.